We're gonna rip into Buffalo Trace a little bit here, or
I don't know if we should rip into them. I mean,
I think
I think what they tried to do is they tried to freaking put out more George T Stagg and they got fucked. Hey, welcome to Super Social Club. I'm Jeremy.
This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob.
Welcome to the Whisky Rant Podcast.
So I'm a little crusty.
It's frustrating.
And it's gonna be a little bit of a rant.
I don't understand it. I don't know why.
Some sort of injustice.
Anyway, end rant.
Hello and welcome back to the Whisky Rant Podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Rob.
And today we got a special bottle out here because it's somebody's birthday. Don't look around.
Yeah.
You know you're an old man now.
Yeah.
Not really, but...
Well, 37. Getting there. I don't know what possessed me to buy this bottle. I guess because I wanted to try if there was any difference between this and the older bottling, which I've heard there is.
Mm-hmm. And
there is supposedly more first fill used in this one.
Right. So we got the Glengoyne 25 on the counter.
Yep.
And we usually drink what we consider a value whiskey tonight. Would you consider this 25-year-old to be value?
So everything's relative, right? Macallan is 25 years old and you're looking close to $3,000 Canadian now.
Mm-hmm.
Highland Park, the 25-year-old's close to $1,000 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Bal Blair has a 25-year-old that's close to $800. These are all Canadian prices, but it doesn't drop that substantially in the U.S. We're talking pretty close.
So if you're looking at the 25-year-old category of Scotch whiskey, this one I would consider to be value because you're getting into 48% ABV. It's absolutely delicious. Glengoyne does a great job. From what I've tried so far of the 25s, this batch is absolutely delicious. And yeah, it's a very expensive whiskey, but when you put it in its lineup against its peers, it's outperforming a lot of scotches that are way more money than it.
So right now, I cannot think of anything but the Glenfarclas 25-year-old that's less than that.
Right.
I can't think of it. So I'm going through the list in my head. They raised the Bowmore price of the 25-year-old. The
Springbank's super expensive.
Springbank's $900 Canadian.
The Lefroy's super expensive.
Lefroy is yeah. So
Ardbeg. I mean, you're just going up and up.
Ardbeg is $2,000.
Right.
This cost me. Now, mind you, I do get a decent deal. Taxes included, $460.
$460 Canadian.
Yeah.
So that's $350,
Ish.
$370,
$380 American.
$380 American. I mean, I would think that that's pretty good value for what you're getting here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
On tonight's show, we're going to talk about, I'm sure if you guys have not been living under a rock, you've heard that Buffalo Trace is omitting the George T Stagg from the Antique Collection release this year. And what they've kind of said about it is kind of vague, but essentially what they're saying is that when they pulled the barrels, they did not match the flavor profile of George T Stagg, and instead of releasing a subpar product, they decided to skip this year altogether.
So, two things, I guess. Kudos to them for recognizing, unlike what most companies would do, that the quality has declined and not put it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Other companies would just put it out anyway, know they're gonna make their money, not care.
Yeah.
But they recognized it wasn't up to snuff, so they bagged it for a year, maybe more. Who knows? We don't know what's going to happen next year. But this was for a reason, right? This happened because of what they decided to do a few years ago.
Yeah. So they've never missed a release before. They've never done this before. And if you take a look at Buffalo Trace, they release all the numbers on all of these antique collection batches, as far as what warehouse they're pulling from, how many barrels it was, the rick house, all that stuff it's very transparent.
Yep.
They stopped releasing how many barrels they pulled from in 2019, but if you go back to 2015, a couple years back, take a look at George T Stagg. In 2015, they pulled 128 barrels, and they had 84.46% loss in those barrels.
Wow.
So they only were left with 15.54%. If you do the math on that, you're getting about 3,900 liters Make that into bottles, you get about 5,300 bottles.
Wow, that's it.
Right? The next year, they pulled 142 barrels and had 75.99% loss. That math equals about 9,000 bottles.
Wow.
So a little bit more. Then you jump to 2017. In 2017, they pulled 309 barrels, more than double the previous year. They only had 54% loss. So 20 to 25% less than the previous year.
So
that netted them 37,879 bottles.
I do remember this. I do remember that huge jump in bottles. Was it younger that year?
No, they've all been at least
always
15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me.
So back in 2002, I guess it would have been.
Yeah.
They either ramped up production huge on mash bill number 1, because this is what they use. They use mash bill number 1 for this release, same stuff as the E.H. Taylor and a few other things, the Eagle Rare, stuff like that. It's their low rye mash bill, so I think it's under 10% rye, 9% or 8%,
so
or whatever.
Just basically all corn.
Corn and barley.
And a touch of barley.
So in 2002 they either ramped up production, or in 2017 they had all these 15-year-old barrels, and they pulled more than double.
So was there reasoning behind this to obviously sell more bottles globally, or were they just
I don't know. I don't know if maybe they just left a whole bunch of their Stagg Junior stuff and they're like, well, this Stagg Junior is not going to make it. And
maybe. I
don't know. Like, it's because I know Stagg Junior comes in 8 years, 7 years, something like that. It's about half.
Okay. It's about half.
I mean, this is all speculation. We don't really know. All we know is what they said, and that they said that, these barrels were not meeting the profile, and they were either going to re-rack them in different spots of the warehouse. But you can tell right away what they've done here. They have pulled barrels, or made it for these Stagg barrels, are not in areas of the warehouse with lots of evaporation.
Right.
Because now you're only getting about 50%, 55% evaporation, where before you're getting 84 and 75%. That's up to where Eagle Rare 17 is. Eagle Rare 17 is about 60 to 70% evaporation.
Wow.
In the rickhouse. So they've made this conscious decision to ramp up George T Stagg production. I know in 2019, a lot of people were disappointed with that release, saying, I remember Mash and Drum blinding it versus Stagg Junior and picking Stagg Junior over the 2019 release. Now, on the other hand of that
was an exceptional Stagg Junior batch.
It was batch 12.
Yeah, that was batch 12, which everybody
regarded as probably the best.
Yeah.
Our good friends at Malt Reviews tried the 2019. They liked it. They thought it was good. Anyway, they stopped doing the numbers for 2019, 2020 as far as how many barrels they're giving you. But I think it's probably safe to assume about the same, between 275, 300. That's what they were doing the years before. And the evaporation loss, they did tell you, 56% and 59% in 2019, 2020. So they're still pulling these barrels from areas of the rick house that do not have as much evaporation as previous years, George T Stagg. And now, this throws up a huge red flag to me.
I think it speaks to what happens when you get a little greedy, personally. Mm-hmm. I think they knew they were doing really well with their George T Stagg. Obviously, they're doing really well with everything they do. But they knew that this is the one that was probably the easiest to produce because, for whatever reason, the evaporation was a little lower compared to the other whiskeys that they're putting out at that time.
Yeah.
And they could ramp it up and make a little bit more profit.
See, I'm trying to think, if they're not using, where's the cutoff? Because it's mash bill 1, and the George T Stagg is 15 years old, and everything else that uses mash bill 1 is nowhere close except for Eagle Rare,
right,
which is a very low output anyway.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're using these old barrels in the E.H. Taylor, right?
Do we know?
Small batch and their single barrel stuff,
right,
it's not coming in over 10 years, I don't think.
I think the oldest one that I've heard of was 11 or 13 years old, something like that.
Okay, well then maybe they are. But there's so much whiskey here, and they make a huge jump, right? You go from, in 2016, 9,000 bottles, to the next year, 37,000.
But wait, when did they come out with that Eagle Rare 18-year-old? Or 17-year-old, wasn't there? No, not Eagle Rare, sorry. E.H. Taylor. Was that a hoax or was that a real bottling?
That was a real bottling.
Right? So, I wonder if that threw a wrench into things.
So that was probably some stuff that didn't match George T Stagg. I mean, what are they going to do with this stuff now, right? Because you've got, essentially, if the numbers are the same as previous year, almost 300 barrels that doesn't meet the profile. Like, how much of that cannot make it into a vatting? Like, if you take half of it, let's say half of those barrels don't match the profile, is that enough to call it quits for the batch the whole year? Is it 25%? Is it 50%? Is it 75%?
Good question. So, my question then, to see if there's more at play here as well, what are the other guys coming in at? Like, what's the William LaRue Weller coming in at this year? What's Eagle Rare coming in at? Like, are there higher numbers this year than there were in years past?
We don't know, right? Because they're not releasing
not
barrels.
disclosing.
They're not releasing they release all the other information, just not how many barrels. And I think that was to, I don't know, kind of curtail the secondary market, I guess, like to let people know exactly how many are out there. Like, I think it's really not really affecting the secondary market. We'll talk about the secondary market for George T Stagg because it's gone up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, with this release not coming out this year. In 2018, which is the last year that Buffalo Trace released numbers, the Eagle Rare 17-year-old only had 45 barrels and an 89.5% evaporation rate.
Wow.
So 10.05%, or it's 10.5% was left in those 45 barrels. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That was the first year they went to 101 proof, I think. So the year that they decided to go 101 proof on the Eagle Rare 17, they had probably the least amount of barrels and the most amount of evaporation. That's crazy.
That is crazy. I had one of those bottles, remember?
Did you?
I had managed to get one of those
God.
bottles in a trade. I traded a Highland Park 25-year-old, a Balblair 90, and something else. And then I flipped that bottle for like $1,800.
God.
So I made like $1,000 on that deal.
So we mentioned before the E.H. Taylor 18-year-old marriage. Just looking up prices on secondary market. I'm looking up Bourbon Secondary Value Reference on Facebook. $2,900 a bottle they were going for, and that was 25 weeks ago. So I haven't seen an updated price since then, but there's one went for $2,500 with no tube. So almost $3,000. So if these George T Staggs aren't the profile that they want, and they put them in another spot of the brick house, you think a year is going to really make that much difference to these things? Maybe, but I don't know.
Right.
Like, you're going to change an entire 300 barrels profile in 1 year?
Honestly, something feels fishy about this whole situation. Like, I feel like there's more to the story that they're just not.
Do you think they're just messing with the secondary market and just like artificially creating market fluctuation with these things? I don't mean, why would they do that? And what do they care? They're still selling these things for $100 a bottle.
But are they though? Like, yeah, maybe a good portion of them they're selling for $100 and whatever bucks a bottle, but they're giving like 3 cases to their cousin to like go flip on secondary, and then like 6 cases to their aunt and this and that or whatever. So
Allegedly.
I mean, we all watched that Netflix special,
Yeah.
right? Where the insiders were getting those bottles. You think the higher ups weren't getting them too?
Well,
doing the same thing.
The secondary market on the George T Stagg undoubtedly has gone up. Sure. So, looking to look here, as of about, George T Stagg used to sell for about $600. I'm looking at the 2019 release, which is one of the least well-reviewed releases in the last little while. So about 30 weeks ago, they were selling for $625 to $650. Fast forward to when Buffalo Trace announced they weren't releasing it this year, you're looking at about $875 a bottle.
Wow.
So they jumped about $200, just like that.
That's insane. But I mean, these bottles have always been stupid. Like, it never made sense.
The George T Stagg was the one that you feel like it
was
wasn't
somewhat
like, too
affordable
crazy.
on secondary.
You used to, like back in the day, you used to like get it for 400, 450 on the secondary market.
Yeah, and those were the bottles that like if you hung on to those.
Sure, those were like the 2014s. The 2012 I think was a really good reviewed year.
2012 was like one of the best I heard.
I don't even know if that was the hazmat year.
I think that's the one that
I had one of those too. It was a 71 point something percent.
Yeah.
I had one. I traded it for I think a Balvenie ton 1401.
At the time that was a great deal.
I would rather drink the Balvenie.
Yeah.
Which I did.
All day. This is the problem is, see, like, to this day, the only Buffalo Trace antique collection that I would actually consider opening if I won it in a lottery to, like, buy on retail is the William LaRue Weller.
Yeah, because you were more of a Weller fan than me.
Yeah.
I was a more Stagg guy.
So, yeah, for me, the Stagg was always, what can I get for this bottle? Like, what can I trade this bottle for, right?
Yeah, but the Wellers now are going for crazy money. Are you sure you want to open that?
That's the thing. Like, once you've had them, you've reviewed them, you know, like it's really hard to open that ever.
Yeah, like we've had the pleasure and the opportunity and been fortunate enough to try the entire VTAC collection, so we know what to expect.
Exactly.
So for someone else who had never tried it, you know, they might be more inclined.
Yeah, exactly.
You want me to tell you what a Weller goes for these days?
Sure. Let's hear it.
Let's take a look. 1,700 US. Double what the Stagg goes for now.
What kind of scotch could you, like, buy for... Like, let's be honest. You can buy one of these. Mm-hmm. You can buy a whole bunch of Springbank.
Yeah.
Like, a whole bunch of Springbank.
I mean, 1,700 US, that's like, what, like over 2,000 Canadian?
It's like 2,300 bucks.
Yes, you could almost buy 5 of these.
Yeah, you can buy a couple.
You can buy 4 in a bit.
You can buy the 30-year-old
right.
for $1,000, which is, I think, a lot better than the 25-year-old.
I can tell you right now, I'd rather have 4 bottles of this than William LaRue Weller. That
goes without saying, for sure.
This is really good. What are you getting on this? I'm getting like a lot of heavy fruit.
Yeah, it's. I want to say it's a lot like the old version. It drinks a lot alike. Like it's got that spiciness from the Oloroso European oak, like the Spanish oak. It's got that like almost like a cinnamony kind of note to it, but then there's that like fruity like berry kind of note, like maybe like red fruit, kind of like strawberries, like cooked strawberries maybe.
Everything's really vibrant off this, like the fruit notes, the spice notes, like the leather aspect to it.
Maybe like a touch of like
really
something
hits
like
you.
Darker on the back end, like maybe a coffee or a dark chocolate.
Yeah, definitely get coffee for sure.
Yeah, it's not like super sweet by any means. I don't find it super sweet.
No,
but it's nicely balanced.
Well balanced.
Yeah. I did find that the 30 was. Well, do you remember the 30 at all?
Mm-hmm.
I had opened the 30 a while back, and that 30 blew me away. So like, it's not even a fair comparison, really. But
that's happened to us a couple times. That happened to us at Highland Park.
Yeah.
When we thought the 25 was just like unreal, and then we tried the 30, and we were like, whoa,
blew it away.
Like, crazy.
It blew it away.
Crazy.
The 30-year-old Highland Park is the biggest difference I've noticed from 25 to 30 so far.
Right.
I mean, how many times have we done that? Probably not that many.
We got to try Macallan 30.
I still got to try Macallan 25.
Oh,
I just can't justify paying for a dram of that at $2,800 Canadian.
Yeah, especially when you have a sample of Macallan 10-year-old cask strength that is better than Macallan 25-year-old.
I would absolutely love to know how a Macallan 25 would perform in a blind tasting next to 10 of its peers, 5 of its peers. You know, like get the Balblair 25 because it's heavily sherried. Get this Glengoyne 25, throw it in there. Like I think ABV wise, maybe you'll be able to distinguish what's what. Maybe not though.
That would be a crazy rundown to do a blind 25-year-old sherry Scotch flight.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know,
especially with Macallan 25 in there too, because I guarantee you it's not coming out on top.
I wonder. Like, I don't think so, but I'm not going to be that guy that makes the judgment unless I've tried
I
it.
think it also depends on what Macallan 25 you're getting.
Oh, absolutely. I think if you got a Macallan 25 from the 90s versus a Macallan 25 21, I mean.
Yeah.
Big difference.
I think you're going to get a big difference. From talking to people who have tried a lot of Macallan 25s,
Yeah.
they can for sure tell you that the new stuff doesn't touch the old stuff. Like almost everything
Pretty much
that we
everything.
talk about nowadays.
Although I will say there's some companies that are doing a really, really good job now that maybe, I don't know, they just, somehow they're sourcing casks that where's Glenfarclas getting these casks from? Like their family casks, where's that happening? Like nobody else is doing that right now.
Right.
Nobody else is getting the sherry quality that some of these family casks are coming in at.
Mm-hmm.
I find that that's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
I wonder.
They've got old business connections.
Yes. Yeah.
They've got the family run business and people like to sell them. That's what I'm assuming.
I think it could be just that, like popularity, and like maybe not necessarily like popularity amongst fans, but amongst the Spanish bodegas that like really respect the Glenfarclas family. You know what I mean? Could be that.
Yep, maybe they're just sick of Macallan BS.
Well, Macallan doesn't even use these like Spanish bodegas really anymore. Like, I mean, they're using them for their cooperages, like I believe, but they're just dumping sherry to season their casks. They're not using those like 100-year-old casks that had sherry in them for the last 100 years.
Yeah, not too many people even get those, if any of them.
I think there's very few companies. I think, what would something like that cost? Like, people are wondering why the Glenfarclas family cask cost so much. Got the 2003 there, got a 2002 right there. Put that next to a Glendronach of the same year, and I would bet good money that the Glenfarclas smashes it.
Yeah.
And it's got to be because of the sherry quality that they're getting.
I think from what you and I have tried, which is a small sample size of both Glenfarclas family casks and Glendronach single casks, that on average we would take the family casks as being more consistently good quality than the Glendronachs. Now the Glendronachs, you might pick a couple outliers that will blow them away.
Maybe.
But as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't had those Glendronachs. Like, I've had some good ones, some like almost pretty great ones, but never like one that wowed me like a Glenfarclas family cask.
Yeah.
Like, was it a 2000? No, sorry. Was it 92? That first one that I grabbed?
Oh, yeah.
That one was mind blowing.
Was that an 18-year-old?
That one was 27 years old? It was a 27-year-old, I think.
Oh, okay. You had another good one that was 18, I thought.
I had the 2002, which was epic as well.
Yeah.
And then you had a pretty decent one, too. Which one was that? The 98 or something?
I can't remember, but yeah, it was good.
And then this 2003 is really good as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a bunch.
I mean, they get stupid, right? They get like 40, 50 years old.
I think these guys need to do more single casts. Remember that 12-year-old single cast we had from
Oh,
Glen?
yeah.
That was really good.
That was really good.
That was really good.
Yeah, you're right. Glencoyne does need more single cast stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, their teapot dram that comes out of cast strength is always good.
Yep.
But, yeah. Some more single cast stuff.
I would love to try a Macallan single cask.
The exceptional cast series, is that the only ones that you can get nowadays?
I think so.
And the fine and rares, are those single casks?
The fine and rares. I don't know if those ones are. I don't think those ones are.
Was
but
it batches?
I don't know. You should top up your glass though, unless we're trying something.
I should
else.
top up my glass again. Well, I'll just do a little bit more.
Yeah.
I gotta be able to give it a good score.
Yeah.
Our good friend Richard has a lot of Glencoynes. We should ask him. He's got the Glencoynes going on right now.
He probably has some decent single casks.
I think he does. This cork is cracked. Did you know that?
I did not. That's not good.
No.
See, bad cork, that could lead to bad things. Doesn't smell though, does it? I don't smell it.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just got a little tear in it. I think that maybe you wanna.
Switch it out.
I would probably switch it out just in case that falls into the bottle.
Yeah.
One more thing before we mark this, I wanted to mention, we usually do what's happening in Whisky Tube, but not so Whisky Tube related, but a good supporter of our channels, Patreon guy, Steve from Milton, he has created this amazing website, and it's only going to be relevant for people in Ontario because it has to do with the LCBO. But it's called Booze Feed, and what it does is it essentially tracks and logs all the changes that happen at the LCBO. So if a bottle comes into inventory, it's noted. If a bottle goes out, it's noted. If a price increase happens, if a price decrease happens, all on this website, updated all the time. Here's a screen grab of it. So I took this back earlier this month. And you can take a look and see that the Glenlivet 18-year-old has made another price jump. So it was $175.95, now $184.95 for a $9 price increase. And Macallan Double Cask 15-year-old up $30.70.
That's shocking.
What?
That bothers me.
How is that happening?
That's stupid.
How is that bottle $230?
That makes absolutely no sense to me. I remember saying that I think there's more sherry. But that doesn't make any more sense because that's the double cask, the 15-year-old. So
the Glenlivet 18 and the Glenfiddich 18, in the last 5 years, those bottles have gone up more than they've almost gone up triple. That used to be like $120 bottle when I remember buying it for the very first time.
Yeah, the problem is like you know they're gonna inflate a little bit. I think still the best buy if you can find it at the LCBO for 18-year-old category Scotch is Old Pulteney. Old Pulteney is like $140, something like that, which is, I think, really good.
Yeah, it's I don't know how Glenlivet and Glenfiddich have gone up double. I say triple before I meant double. Essentially, they've almost gone up double.
So what's
not too long ago?
Yeah, I feel like it's almost reasonable compared to their like competitors in our province. Like obviously, if you buy Glengoyne 18 in Alberta, you're gonna like pay $110.
Yeah,
which is better than all the ones that we mentioned anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, check out this. It's called Booze Feed. Bookmark it. If you're in Ontario and you shop the LCBO, you have to check this out. You can right on there is like the link to the product listings. You can see. But really, what you want to check it for is new releases that are coming out that you want to jump at.
Yeah.
If there's something out there, it will pop up. And you can see what store has it and get your grubby little hands on it.
Yeah.
And then I'll see you on the secondary market.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Good on Steve.
Steve,
yeah,
Steve,
that's really cool.
Really cool, man. Really awesome. So yeah, definitely check that out if you are in Ontario.
Yeah.
Or if you're not, you just want to like laugh at the prices and see how much stuff goes up all the time. You can check it out as well.
That's true too. Yeah.
All right, scores.
All right, you go first.
So, I can't really remember what I scored this bottle previously. I don't remember at all.
Did you review it?
I don't know.
I don't recall you did.
So, I know I had one. I think I traded it. I know I had a couple of these.
I had the old one open, and I didn't love it. I remember not loving it. And I remember being disappointed because like it was that bottle that I would like drool over forever. I never could afford it, and then finally bought it. And yeah, this is different though. I'm having a different experience with this.
So this was just cracked. Like we just cracked it tonight.
Yeah, it's a neck pour.
So it's a neck pour.
Yeah.
Keeping that in mind. Yeah, for me this is a 91 for me. I think that it's absolutely delicious. It's that sherry, gooey, like high viscosity sherry that you love.
Yeah.
Great complexity. The fruit notes pop. The spice notes very like balanced with that as well.
Yeah.
It's got the chocolate. It's got like the cinnamon spice. The oak influence is very well balanced as well. The leathers. I mean, yeah, it's just delicious sherry.
I think I'm gonna come in at an 89. So not because I don't love it, because I do. I think it's great. I think where it loses a touch for me is at 48%. I expected it to be a little bit less hot, and I remember that was my complaint. I don't find it hot. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's spicy from the European oak and Spanish oak, but I feel like at 48%, it should just like, I don't know. I shouldn't feel like too much heat. I should just feel like.
I think I will say that if you gave me this blind, I would probably say it's 18 and not 18 to 20 and not 25.
It does drink a touch younger.
Yeah.
Right. I agree with that, and that's like my only criticism. Which 89 still is a high score. I think if I were to rescore the old one, it drank even hotter than this one. To be honest with you, so I do think it's improved, and I think it will get better as we get halfway down this bottle.
Yeah, and we didn't throw a drop of water in here, and that might knock that edge down.
100% it will. So keep that in mind as well. And I'll probably, like, at the halfway point, throw out a review on this bottle.
Yeah, and I bet you your score would go up a tick.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good. I'm really happy I bought it. The presentation is, just alone the presentation is sick.
Yeah, the box is great. Did you show the box? You showed the box.
I didn't show the box.
Yeah.
So it's got that, like...
It's really cool.
Little clock for the patients that they... What do they... How do they put it? Unhurried since 1833, and they have, like, a little clock arm on the side of the box to close it.
Nice little touch.
Yeah, and then they have some other stuff going on that I don't quite understand, but it's in the sleeve here. Cool stuff. Really, really nice box. I love the box.
Yeah, this is a great gift if you want to, if you're spending a lot of money on someone.
Yeah.
In the $400 price range.
This is like a cool like best man gift or something like that.
Yeah.
At your wedding or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's a very good gift because the presentation is great on it.
Yeah.
Anything else? What's Buffalo Trace gonna do with these barrels? They got like 300 that are just sitting there.
They're gonna wait, and then they're gonna come up with some like stupid name and call it like make everybody think that it's like super rare.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? They're coming out with that like one whatever expression that they've never come out with before, and it's gonna be like $1,000 a bottle, and everybody's gonna like kill their mother to get it.
Yep.
And
it's gonna be Buffalo Trace 20-year-old, and in
Yeah.
2027. We're going to be looking at $10,000 a bottle in the secondary market.
Yeah, and
it's going to taste like a weird George T Stagg.
Yeah, it's going to just take like over oaked George T Stagg. That's it.
There you go. That's our prediction.
We don't hate bourbon.
See you in 5 years, George T Stagg.
Hashtag, I don't hate bourbon.
Scotch is better. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a good one.
Cheers.